right. So there has been some controversy surrounding Intel's 14 and 13900K chips. So basically, yeah, the i9s. Pretty much what's happening is, instability and, crashing and so on. So I just wanted to make this, I hope, quick video on how to maybe band-aid fix a little bit and maybe perhaps prevent it. Although disclaimer, I'm not really an expert on, on the tweaking side of computers, but I just do a lot of research. I Google a lot and I compare different results from different people. But I guess I should just clarify that this isn't necessarily a complete guide. I'm not a professional, so do take this with a grain of salt and do it as well at your own caution. But basically, this will probably apply better if you have like a 14900K and if you're using an Asus board, because I think, in my opinion, Asus gives like the most opportunities for messing with the BIOS. But yeah, I'm running on the Z790 Dark Hero, and my 14900K sits at SP score of 110. I'm not sure if that's high or low, but according to like a decent bit of my research, most 14900Ks, they're under like 100, so they range between like 80-ish, so like mid to high 80s to like high 90s. I'm not sure how good of a bin this chip is, but as soon as I realized, I kind of just did one thing first, which is sync all cores. I put the P cores to 50 and then the E cores to 36. So what the sync all cores thing mean is by default the turbo for these two, they're at Intel spec. So I believe it's either 5.8 and then like another +8, so 4.4, or it's 6.0 and then 4.6. So assuming, let's just assume like the thing is 6 gigahertz and then what is it again? Yeah, 4.6 gigs for the E cores. I just manually tune it down by 10 gigs. So basically when I enter Windows, it'll be like sitting at 5.0 gigahertz exactly. I'm not really worried about the CPU bottlenecking anything, because anyway the games I play, they don't really tax the CPU that much. But anyways, I digress. I guess I'll just quickly run over what the actual settings I have like changed into my preferred, but I guess just quickly go over the small stats. Usually it always runs like 1.1 and then something volts in Windows. It's pretty stable. And then idle, it would always like sit between like 29, 30, 31, and then light load would be like around 34, 35. I'm using the Liquid Freezer 420 edition. Anyway, so in order to change most of the settings, I know this is like really jank, but you would have to change from Intel default to like OC profile. And then I have my XMP set to 2, because 1 is basically like Asus optimized. I'm pretty sure you can read the description there. Pause if you want. XMP 2 is basically the RAM setting itself. So yeah, I'm running DDR5 6000 CL30. I'm not touching any of these. I have adaptive boost disabled because reasons. Okay, I won't really specify the for all the settings because that'll waste too much time. Honestly, the BIOS is like such a hard thing to understand, because there's barely any information online, and most of the time it's just like mumbo jumbo. I have this, of course, set to enforce all limits. So you will see like quite a lot of like settings or options that are set to like a very specific thing on like auto. And there's like a lot of settings that have auto on it, and it's usually like always Asus default settings, but I don't touch them because either one, I did a ton of research and I can't find anything, so I'm like afraid, or two, it is actually best to leave it on auto because you don't want to like manually tune it, right? Next, I have, where is it? Yeah, multi-core enhancement. Yeah, okay, I already went over it. SVID behavior. This thing is basically like your voltages, system voltages. Auto, I think, is the default one. I set it at typical because I read Intel's failsafe isn't all that different either. But just know that if you put it at, I think, worst case or trained, you're gonna have to like tune it a little bit or like face difficulties. I'm not sure, but changing it from auto to like typical is like definitely preferred. Next, I don't really change any of the DRAM stuff, the DIMM stuff. Okay, I already went over the sync cores. So I think AVX, no, that's not the thing. DRAM timing, nope, this is not it. Yeah, Digi plus VRM. This is where things get slightly spicy. I have this set to enabled, and then this thing is basically if you want your chip to like not die, you set it to like the max, which is level 3, and level 1 is I think for overclocking, something along those lines. And then load line calibration, just like the thing says, the higher you go, the better it is for like OC or like liquid nitrogen, whatever, you know, you're aiming for scores. So I try to set it to the lowest one, so level 1. Sync load line with VRM, I have it enabled because that basically just limits, that just adds limits. A lot of these other stuff I leave them at auto. This thing is enabled. Okay, the CPU power duty control, it's either set to extreme or auto. I set it to T-probe because that's like the lowest thing and most I guess helpful. Okay, so this thing, it's either optimized or extreme or auto. I set it at standard. And then you'll see the later on the power limit I set to 125, long and short respectively. Graphics load line, I also set it to the lowest, even though I don't use the iGPU, but I do leave it on because, you know, it is helpful even if you're playing games, especially if you're rendering. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the Digi plus VRM part. I don't think there's anything from this thing. Nope. Okay, internal CPU management. So this is another like spicy part where I do recommend tweaking a little bit. I set all of them to 90 because I don't want my chip to hit 100. Although the thing is, your chip will probably not die to the heat itself, but rather like voltages. So you have lots of math on this thing. So there's like voltages, you got wattage, you got current, and you got like temperature, and then other weird factors such as like dust or just maybe humidity if you live in like a really cold environment. Okay, I digress actually, but basically your chip may or may not die from suicide voltages rather than like raw temperature like 100 degrees, unless it's like 120 degrees and yeah, your chip is basically fucked. Regulate this thing, I have it set to enabled. I set the ICC max, like it says unlimited, to disabled because you don't want anything to pull unlimited stuff. By default, I think this is like 400-ish or like exactly 400 amps. I set it to 307 because that's the like spec, Intel spec for their SKUs. What else? Yeah, like I was saying, I put the PL1 and PL2 set to 125, which is basically the TDP of the chip, and I set it to 1 second because, you know, I don't want it to pull anything higher than 125, so it's just 1 second. This boosting, it's disabled by default, I'm pretty sure. Let's see. a lot of things are, yeah, auto. And then for the last two, it is, I set them to Intel's default. You see there's like lots of just janky stuff, like unlimited power stuff, Asus optimization type stuff. I don't know. It's trippy. So I set these both to Intel's default. Let's go back. Thermal velocity boost. I'm not sure if any of these are like touched, but I think this thing is like disabled, so I may or may not have touched that. VF point, I don't think there was anything. Nope, nothing here. Tweaker's Paradise, nope. Yeah, so about these things, the cache, I don't touch them because I'm clearly not knowledgeable enough. So next we got, yep, this is this is basically like slightly more like spicy part. If you're smart enough, if you do a lot of like Cinebench and hardware info monitoring, this thing, you might want to manually tune it, just like how I manually tune my input volt to 179. The standard is 1.8, so this kind of varies by you know, the silicon quality of your chip. So the better bin you have, the much lower likely it will be running stable. I'm kind of tweaking right now, literally. Anyway, so it's mostly like these three. So CPU input, CPU system agent, and then actual VRM core. These three are basically what determines your chip's livelihood, if it will live for a long time, at least. And then there's your DRAM stuff. So it's only like these two tabs that you have to do some tweaking to get your chip to like decent stability. Advanced, let's see, this is, nope, wrong one. CPU config. Right, it's gonna, right, where is it? C state, okay, it should be like right here, but I'm gonna just go over the previous stuff. So you may as well copy like most of these stuff, because these are like for the sake of like keeping the chip alive. So I keep hyperthreading and E-cores, P-cores as well. I don't think I touched any of these, but yeah, this is where the most underrated part comes into play. This is like the stuff that you cannot skip. Yeah, so this is auto, this is enabled, enabled, and then enabled. So this is it. C states. What are C states? Basically, if you have the thing to C1, it can like take a small break. Your chip can take a small break, eat a snack, whatever. C2, it lays down on its desk to get some like small, like, I don't know, better rest. C3, maybe he naps, I don't know. C6, I don't know, he sleeps for like one day. But essentially, to get my point across, the lower your C thing for your C state is like the shorter your break for the CPU, and then the higher it is, the more like power you save, and like the more efficient it becomes. Like it's trying to be like a laptop processor essentially. That's like such a horrible explanation, but it's true. C states are like a must if you want, like, you know, your chip to be like healthy, because no one likes dead. Oh my god, I'm so cooked today. Anyway, so enhanced C states, that's how you can enable like C10. I believe everything else is just by default. So where was I? Okay, back. System agent. Whatever, you can like figure these out on your own, because there's like a lot of options. You'd probably stay here for like over 1 hour, but I have my iGPU enabled. I have what is it? Thunderbolt? No, USB. Yeah, USB. I have lots of single things disabled because I don't really use that many ports. I have the Type-C ports disabled, but I have most of the 10 gig USB Type-A enabled, because I use a lot of Type-A stuff anyway. I'm pretty sure that should be everything. but I might be wrong. But just as a whole, in conclusion, what you should be doing, what you should be worrying the most about. So either when you get your chip, your 13900K or 14900K, the first things that you do is you basically change the thing to typical scenario. So as opposed to like the other stuff like auto, you sync your cores and then you head to Digi plus VRM. You like set the calibration for the load stuff, and then you change the thing to T Pro. Basically, let's like VRM and CPU related stuff to like an acceptable level, and then advanced, you try to change your or actually get your C states running. So as you can see, it supports like quite a lot. So at least C10 it does support it. So I guess sigh of relief. Okay, yeah. So to elaborate, the most important parts is syncing cores and C states essentially, and then setting a PL1 and PL2, and then your amps. Yes, I'll just show my fans. Where is it? Monitor, fan speed. So this is the VRM fan on the LF3. This is 3. This is the radiator fans. This is 3x140, 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 and then this is the pump. That's quite a high RPM. Again, I'm filming on my phone because I don't have a capture card, so that's too bad. I don't think I changed any settings so far. So F10, yeah, you have not changed anything. So I hope this helps anyone either facing problems with their i9 chips currently, or if you plan to get any chips in the future. Always just make sure that you know your stuff before you make a purchase on an enthusiast, high-end, like lots of micromanaging, manually doing stuff product, because in the end, it's obviously a lot of like pointing fingers, you know, the Spider-Man meme, Intel pointing at mobile manufacturers and then pointing at the consumer. But in reality, you should have to like be careful about what the hell you do with your money, because you could just be getting like an i5 13600K or an i7 14700K and you should be fine, although there is like a lot of suicide voltage bullshit going on with like the single core boosting shit. But as a whole, just don't be stubborn and cook your chip with like 1.5 volts, trying to push that 5.9 or 6 gigahertz and then just completely cooking your chip and you have to warranty it. I don't know, I don't recommend it. But yeah, this has been a very botched guide in helping you like configure BIOS, specifically for the 14900K and mostly on Asus motherboards. But yeah, this should be it. I guess you're welcome.